Good afternoon, engineering student leaders, and welcome to uh, the ESUC Engineering Leadership Workshop Series. I am happy to be presenting to you today on the undergraduate research program and undergraduate internship program. And I'll be providing you several updates today. So welcome. My name is Will Herrera. I am Director of the Undergraduate Research and Internship Programs. I imagine most of you know me at least by email because I've been spamming you every week since you were a first year student. So hopefully you recognize my name, and this may be the first time you see my face. So welcome. I know we've been in the pandemic for the last 2 years, so I have not met many of you in person. But welcome, and I think I have 25 minutes, so I'm going to rush through the slides that I have to present today. So our agenda will be first starting off with celebrating successes. I'll introduce our broad goals, program goals, and celebrate some successes we've had in the first 5 years of existence. Then I'll talk about our partnership between the undergraduate research internship program and ESUC, and specifically the industry liaison committee, where we'd like to invite at least one representative from each of your orgs to join the industry liaison committee. So I'll talk about that. And then at the end, I'll close up by giving you a list of resources that we have available to all undergraduate students. So, and of course, we will give you contact information for you to connect with us, and we'll have um, we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the video. So jumping in, let's go into our broad goals. So number one, our first and our most important goal is to facilitate first and second year engineering students to secure a summer experience by the end of their second year. And this is very important, and we'll show you some data pretty soon as to why. Our second big goal is to help any student that wants to get an undergraduate research or internship experience under their belt before graduation. We wish we could require it. I wish I could have a magic wand and say this is part of the curriculum, and just like you need to take certain classes to graduate, you should do research and internships before graduating. But I don't have that kind of power, so it's for those students who want to do this. We want to make sure that everybody can and is able to. So that's another broad goal that we have. Of course, we are collecting, tracking, and publishing participation data, and I'm going to share some of that data with you today. And we want to recognize and celebrate the students that do research and that do participate in internships. And we want to give them shout outs and give them credit and really put them up on a pedestal for having completed research and internship during the undergrad years. So those are our broad goals. What I want to do now is actually get into some specific successes that we've had in our first 5 years of existence. So I want to go into a little bit of history. The first year in 2017-18, I transitioned into this new role as director, and we really didn't have a program yet, right? That first year we were developing the formal program so that we could launch in 2018-19. We revamped the senior exit survey that year. We offered a ton of workshops that year related to undergraduate internship opportunities and undergraduate research opportunities. And then we also launched the ESUC Industry Liaison Committee in the spring of 2018. So that first year was really about pre-planning, gathering information, and setting ourselves for launch in year two. So year two, 2018-19 was our real first launch. We opened the Engineering Student Resource Center, where the undergraduate research and internship program is housed. So if you've never been by our center, please come by, 6288 Bolter Hall. We hired peer advisors for the first time, and we trained those peer advisors to work with students who were interested in finding research and internship opportunities. And then we started delivering internship program workshops that second year. And then, of course, we were collecting data all along. We started collecting attendance data using our iPad system. And then we revamped the summer undergraduate research program in 2018 so that it was a self-sufficient RU funded model, meaning every student who participated in SERP was paid to do research and received a research stipend. Year three was, again, really year two of the launch, but year three of the program was an incredible start. We launched 3 courses, new seminar courses, Engineering 23, 24, and 25, and I'll talk a little bit about those in future slides. We increased attendance to all of our industry-facing events, and we also saw a growth in the number of advisees that were coming to see our peer advisors. And of course, in March of 2020, the pandemic hit. And at that point, everything was flipped upside down, as you all know, and we devoted most of our time and energy to pivoting all of our in-person resources to online and remote resources. So very good year up until March of that year. Year 4 was a remote only year, last 2020-21. We launched our social media that year because we realized that since it was remote, the best way to reach students was through social media. So I'll talk a little bit about some of that data and some of those goals in some future slides. We were able to increase enrollment in our engineering 23 class and our engineering 24 class. And those percents are super high because the first year the enrollments were kind of low. And I'll show you some data in a little bit what our average enrollment is now in those classes. And we decreased the number of seniors seeking employment. So I have some cool graphs that I'm going to show you in a couple slides. And of course, we were preparing for the 21-22 academic year. And so we hired staff early and we trained them in spring quarter. Last year, our 2021-2022 year, which I'm calling the hybrid year because we did get to do some in-person activities last year. We resumed in-person services for at least a quarter, almost 2 quarters. We decreased the number of seniors seeking employment on the senior exit survey. And I'll show you that data shortly. We offered new Engineering 26 course aimed towards juniors and seniors who are looking for jobs. So I'll talk about that course. And then we increased the number of companies and students who attended our Engineering Connections event, which is a result of the Industry Liaison Committee work. And we expanded our peer advising team last year to 10 peer advisors because every year we're seeing more and more students. So we were growing our team, our peer advising team. Last June, so a couple months ago in June of 22, we were also successful in getting 93% of our seniors, our graduating class, to complete the senior exit survey, which is great. We also increased full-time employment numbers to 52%, and I'll show you that soon. And we were able to grow our transfer students who had employment at time of graduation to 30%. And I'll talk a little bit about the discrepancy there between the non-transfer students and the transfer students. We also doubled our social media reach. So YouTube views, Instagram followers, LinkedIn connections. We were able to double the amount of followers and connections that we had on those social media platforms. So we're expanding our reach. And we were also able to maintain an average of 36 students enrolling in the Engineering 23 course and 16 students enrolling in the Engineering 24 course. And last but not least, we were able to increase by 1.5, a 1.5 increase in the number of students that we saw in our peer advising sessions. So I actually want to elaborate on the peer advising a little bit. So I have some data I want to show you here. And again, these are undergrads, senior undergrads that we train to meet with younger undergrads to do peer advising. So students come in with questions like, how do I find research? Or, I've applied to 100 internships and I've only got 5 interviews. What am I doing wrong? Right. So you name it, we do it. It's really an ask me anything advising session. So what you see here is over time, right? 2018-19, we only had 68 peer advising sessions. That was year 1. We were able to grow that to 80. And then in 2021, we grew it to 94. And then last year, we saw a 1.5 increase to 142 peer advising sessions throughout the academic year. And what you see in color here, yellow represents spring quarter, red represents winter quarter, and then blue represents fall. So as you can see, last year, we saw a huge increase in the fall number of peer advising sessions. So we're really happy about that. We do a survey with our students once they come to peer advising, a post-peer advising survey. And this is kind of some data on last year. Of the 142 students we saw, most of them were first-year students, so that's awesome. We want to get the young students in. So 40% of our peer advising sessions were first year, 21% were second year, and our fourth largest group were transfer students. And we really want to focus on transfer students going forward. And I'll tell you why in a couple slides when we go over some data. What this shows here is black is the students we saw, and then blue little humans here is a percentage of the population of undergrads at the School of Engineering. So basically what this shows is we're seeing, a equal percentages of students by major as they are represented in the School of Engineering. So it's not like we're missing a certain major, basically. What this shows is we're targeting all majors and we're serving all majors in equal proportion to their undergrad population. And then on a rating scale of 5, all the people who answered the post peer advising survey said they give us a 4.6 rating out of 5, and 100% of the students said that they would recommend peer advising to other undergraduate students. So we wanted to share this data with you all as leaders because we want to ask you, we have an ask of you. We want you to help us to promote this peer advising to other undergraduate students, to first-year students, and also to transfer students. What I want to do now is talk a little bit about that data I keep referencing, right? I want to show you that data. Now, this is based on June 2022 senior exit class. There were 1,100 eligible seniors to complete this survey. We were able to get 1,121 to open the survey. Unfortunately, 42 said, you know what? I don't want to take this survey. I pass. But we were able to get 1,079 survey responses, which is 93% of those eligible students. So I think we did pretty good. I think this survey data represents, overwhelmingly the senior class. What I want to show you here is this is the very first question on the survey. It's called the post-grad plans, which it asks the senior, what are you doing after graduation? And I want to point out here that 21.3% in red are still seeking employment, meaning they want to get a job and they're still looking for a job at the time of the survey. Now, keep in mind, most of the survey responses came in May, right up to graduation on June 21st, so about a month before graduation. So 21% of those seniors were still seeking employment. 19% said, hey, I'm going to grad school. I got in, I applied, and I'm going to grad school. And then another 52% had secured a job at the time of graduation. And then 7.3 said, you know what, Will, we're still figuring it out. I think I might be going to the military, or I might be applying to grad school, but I need a gap year to study for the MCAT or for law, LSAT, or GRE, or I haven't decided. I don't know if I want to travel for a year and take a gap year and travel, or I want to go straight into whatever I want to do. So that's 7.3%. I want to show you this same data, but in graph form over time. So this is basically the same question, post-grad plans over time since 2018. Now remember, the program formally kind of launched in fall of 2018. So this shows the progression. I remind you that green bar means employed. Okay, so in 2018, only 38.9% of the seniors on the senior exit survey said they had a job at the time of the survey. 33.7% were still looking for a job. As you can see, over time, the green bar has increased and the red bar has decreased. So this is a good sign. So it's a sign that we're having an impact, right? That the numbers are trending in the right direction. So we saw a 14.4% increase in the green bar from 2018 to 2022. So 14.4% more students are employed since 2018. And we've seen a decrease in the red bar, which is those students who are still seeking employment, meaning they know they want to work. They're looking for a job actively, but they haven't found a job. So we saw a negative 12.4% decrease in seeking employment. So this is all super good news and important data we want to share with you all. The next piece of data I want to show you is again from the senior exit survey, and this is participation in research and internships, okay? And the general trend here is that we've seen the percent of research involvement has stayed pretty steady, 25% in 2018, 25.7% in 2022. But we do have a raw total higher number, right? Because the undergraduate class has grown, and so the senior class has grown. So as you can see, we had 815 students here, 210 said research. And then internship, we've seen a pretty significant jump from 65% back in 2018 to 87% in 2022. And we see a total higher raw number of students also. And so, that's good news as far as internship and research participation. We're trending in the right direction. What I want to show you now is how does research and internships correlate to that post-grad plan question, whether they're employed or seeking employment. So this table here, or this graph here, again, green means employed, red means seeking employment, blue means grad school, and yellow means other. So for the students who did research, you can see we have a much higher graduate school rate in the group of students that did research, undergraduate research, 35%, double basically those who um, or only did internship. And then for internship, we see the kind of opposite, right? The students who did an industry internship, we see a much higher employment rate. We see almost 60% of those seniors who did an internship had a job at the time of the senior exit survey. So clearly there's a correlation between doing research and going to grad school. And there's a clear correlation between doing internship and having a job at the time of graduation. And then there's those special students who did both. They did both research and internships. And as you can see here, the big takeaway from this graph is that they have the smallest red bar, right? They have the smallest number of students that are still looking for a job at the time of graduation. And then, of course, the sad bar makes me sad. It makes me cry every time I see this. For students who go their all 4 years of undergrad here at UCLA and don't do either internship or research, 50% of them are still looking for a job at the time of graduation, which is atrocious, right? So bottom line, we're showing you this data because as leaders, we want you to help us share this data with any new student, any first year student, any transfer student, right? We want them to know this data so that, because we want them to know that we want them to get either an internship or a research experience before they graduate. And as you can see here, the least amount of students seeking employment, the smallest red bar is for students that do both internship and research. And then the most students seeking employment, the highest bar, red bar, is those who did neither research or internship. So we feel like this is critical data to share with the undergrad population. And we want first year students and transfer students to know in their first quarter, if you want to get research and internships, go talk to Will, go talk to the peer advisors, start this process early. All right, the next thing is I want to give you all a shout out, student participation. So we looked at the same, outcomes. Green is employment, red is seeking employment, blue is enrolled in grad school. And this column here is students who did participate actively in a student org. And these are students who never participated in a student org during their whole 4 years here at Sun Valley Engineering. They didn't get involved with any engineering organization. And once again, we see a clear correlation. Students who get involved with your org are doing much better, right? We see double, all right? For the students that had no organization, 31% of them are looking for employment. That's almost double the students who did participate in a student org, right? Looking at the green bar, you all are doing a great job with the undergrad to work pipeline. 55% of the students who were actively participating in a student org were employed at the time of the senior exit survey versus only 15% had a job, right? So clearly getting, if you're, let's say a material, I'll put MRS out there, Materials Research Society, right? If you can get 100% of your Materials Research Society students to actively get involved with your org, your material science engineering majors, I should say, their chances, statistically speaking, based on the senior exit survey, of having a job at the time of graduation are way higher than if they didn't participate, right? And that's just one org. There's ASCE, there's IEEE, et cetera, right? So again, in this bar, 75%, if we add the green and the blue, 75% of students are either going to grad school or found a job if they're participating in a student org. And opposite versus this bar, where only 22% of the seniors have a job or are going to grad school when they have not gotten involved with the student org. So clearly, getting students actively involved with your org is a huge priority of mine, and hopefully we can work together on this. I'm going to pause here. So during the live session, if you have any questions, this is probably a good time to pause the video, or I don't know how ISAC is doing it, but we'll take questions during the live session on August 23rd at this point. But hopefully if you have any questions, jot them down so you can ask them during the live meeting. Okay, now I want to transition to the next agenda item, which is our partnership with ESUC. Thanks to ESUC and specifically Logan Cheney, who we've been working with to co-chair the industry liaison for the last year, and then he's going to be the co-chair for this upcoming year too. So we're very grateful for this partnership. Our goal is to get you all as student leaders to get one person from your org to join the industry liaison committee, because we know that you all are doing amazing work, and we know that we're doing amazing work. And the idea behind the industry liaison committee is to come together to put these these pieces of the puzzle together, to collaborate, to share best practices, to share resources. I should also mention, I forgot that there should be a career center puzzle piece right here, because we work with the career center, and there's an external affairs puzzle piece. We work closely with external affairs. So the way we see this committee is, if we put these resources together, we can increase membership so that we can reach 100% of the students. And our goals for this committee for this coming year are to transition events back to in-person because of the pandemic the last 2 years. We want to help orgs increase their membership. I already mentioned why. I already showed you the data. We want to leverage existing resources and expertise. And we want to co-market events so that we can get more students to join your org and participate in your career fair or your industry-facing events. And of course, we want to collect and track data for all of these events over the course of the year. And our ultimate goal is to have 100%, and maybe this is ambitious, but our goal is to have 100% of our seniors on that senior exit survey say that they're either going to grad school or they are employed at the time of graduation. So the ideal bar that we want to see in some future, maybe it's in 10 years, I don't know, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's next year, hopefully, I don't know. This is what we're working towards. We're working towards having 70% of students have a job, 30% going to grad school. Again, those could be 60-40, I don't care. I just want 100%. Basically, what we want to do is eliminate that red bar. We want to eliminate the number of students that are still seeking employment at the time of graduation. And somebody might say, well, what about the yellow bar, Will? Well, some people are going to choose to travel for a year or take a gap year or study for the MCAT for a year. Like, we don't want to limit people to force them to have to either do a job or enroll in grad school, right? But what we don't want is students who want to have a job and still struggling to find a job. So our next ILC meeting is on August 31st, so week 8 days after this live meeting on August 23rd. So I want to talk a little bit about the Industry Liaison Committee and what we're asking. Again, we're asking your org to send one representative. If your org does any industry-facing or research-related activities, we want you to send one representative to our Industry Liaison Committee. Our next committee meeting is on Wednesday, August 31st. We are still meeting via Zoom until the fall quarter starts. So we're meeting from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And we're asking any representatives, any members of the committee to help co-market events. And we're asking those committees to share their calendars so that we know when your org events are happening so we can co-market them. So that is what we're asking of members of the Industry Liaison Committee. So hopefully, if your org is not actively participating in Industry Liaison Committee yet, you can send us a representative so we can do so. So this is probably another good time for me to pause to see if there are any questions. So, during the live meeting, this is a good time to ask questions. Okay, so what we'll do now is go on to the next portion, the final portion of the agenda, which is our undergraduate research program, undergraduate internship program goals, and our hybrid resources. So I talked about the courses early when I was talking about successes. So Engineering 23 is going to be offered in fall, Engineering 24 in spring, and Engineering 26 in winter. So I'll talk about those courses in the next couple slides. We want to continue to grow our social media presence and get more followers and more connections so that students can be tapping into the information and knowledge remotely so that we don't rely on in-person meetings. We want to continue to increase our peer advising sessions. So we want more students to access and meet with our peer advisors. And of course, we're going to continue to offer workshops on professional development opportunities. So I'm going to go into each of these silos individually. Our specific goals for this next year, 2022-23 year, are to increase our peer advising by 25% of our current numbers. We want to increase enrollment in engineering 23, 25, 24, and 26 by 3 to 5%. We want to decrease the number of seniors that are seeking employment on the next 2023 senior exit survey by 3 to 5%. We want to increase the number of seniors employed by 3 to 5%. And we want to increase the number of social media followers and connections by 25%. We want to start posting YouTube videos to our Instagram and our YouTube channel once every 2 weeks. We want to increase the number of students attending our industry and liaison committee events. So, whatever industry facing event you're hosting, we want more students to know about it and to show up. We want to start tracking and transfer students, because what I didn't show in the successful data is that our transfer students are seeking employment at twice the rate as our non-transfer students. So we really need to target our transfer population, and we want to work with them more closely. On average, every fall, we get about 220 to 230 new transfer students. So for us, we think it's very doable to meet one-on-one with all 225 of those transfer students during the academic year. Oh, that timer tells me I got to wrap up my video. So let me wrap up these last slides. I'm almost done. And then, of course, we want to encourage more students to attend in-person events now that we're transitioning back to in-person. If you or your org have any ideas on what we should be focusing, something that I haven't mentioned, please email me. I'm going to give you our email addresses in a couple slides. Please contact us and let us know, hey, Will, our org has this idea. We want your help, or we want you to lead this new initiative. And we're open to ideas. We want to hear how we can better serve you, the undergraduate student. I mentioned this earlier. We want to expand our online presence. We have a Facebook page, we have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram, and we have a LinkedIn. And of course, we have an internship program website and an undergraduate research program website. This here is our YouTube library. As you can see here, we had 1,100 views through basically last academic year. Here's a little image of some of the videos that we have posted on our YouTube channel. Every time we post a video on YouTube, we also usually post it on Instagram. So we were able to increase by 2.27% increase in views. Last year we had 1,100. The year before that, we only had 500. So this year we want to increase that again, right? So please share our YouTube channel. We want more students to view our videos. And of course, we want to increase our subscriber, which is still pretty low. LinkedIn. We did launch our LinkedIn page. We started with 254 followers 2 years ago, and we were able to increase that by 3.6 times to 920 followers and growing. So again, my ideal situation would be to have all 4,000 undergrads following our undergraduate internship and research program LinkedIn page. We post positions, we post research opportunities, funding options, funding opportunities for research, and also internship and job opportunities. Instagram, like I mentioned earlier, you can see here, we do have an Instagram page. We had 152 followers in year one. We were able to, increase that by twofold to 332 followers last year. We still want more. And of course, we want to ask you to help us promote our Instagram page and to secure more followers. And in conclusion, we do have 3 courses that we offer. The Engineering 23 course is offered fall quarter. It's called Finding an Industry Internship. And I have some cool data to show you. Last year, we've been averaging about 36 students enrolled in the class every quarter that we've offered it. Of those, 75% enrolled in the course had never had an internship before the class. 46% of students had not used Handshake before the class. 53% of the students had applied to 10 or more, or did apply to 10 or more internship opportunities before the end of the class. And 16% of the students enrolled in the class were able to secure an internship by the end of the quarter. 85% of the students said they would recommend the class to other undergrads, and 82% said that they ranked the class on a 4 to 5 or 5 out of 5 in terms of class experience. So we really want to help ask you to help us promote this class. We especially think this class is awesome for a first-year student or a transfer student, but really it's open enrollment to anybody. But we want to make sure all students have access to it. Engineering 24 is a finding research opportunity class. We were averaging about 16 students enrolled in that class. Here's some data: 81% had never done research before. 38% had visited the research portal, had never visited the research portal before the class. 100% of the students were able to at least solicit research labs by the end of the quarter. 45% of the students were able to find a research position by the end of the quarter last spring. And 91% of the students would recommend the class to other students, and 82% ranked it a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 in terms of class experience. So clearly these courses are being well received. We want to increase enrollment. We want to ask you to help us promote these courses. And last but not least is the Engineering 26 course, Finding an Entry-Level Job. Last year was the first time we offered this course. We offered it in winter quarter. We had 35 students enrolled. 70% of the students had never had an internship coming into the class. So these are students that, hadn't done an internship yet. 33% of them had below a 3.5 GPA. 90% of them were first-gen international or transfer students, which is the population we're targeting. More than 50% of them had applied to at least 10 internships by the end of the quarter. 100% of the students would recommend the class to a classmate, to an undergrad, and 100% gave it a 4 or 5 out of 5 in terms of class experience. So again, great results. We're hoping you help us promote this. Again, this class will be taught in winter of 2023, this year. All right, and to close is peer advising. Here's some of the new peer advisors we've hired for this upcoming year. You can see them on our website. So I wanna ask you again to please help us, especially Mentor Cs. We know that every freshman, every first-year student, and every new transfer student gets assigned a Mentor C's mentor. So we want to ask the Mentor C's mentors and all you student orgs to please help us advertise peer advising. We want every single transfer student to come and meet with one of our peer advisors this academic year. And we want as many first-year students as possible to also come. So I think that concludes my presentation. I apologize, the video went a little bit over time, but please connect with us. This is the email to contact us. If you have an internship program question, suggestion, comment, please email uip@cs.ucla.edu. That email goes directly into my inbox, so I do see it. It also goes to our team, our peer advising team. If you have a research program question, please email urp@cs.ucla.edu. So that is the best way to contact us, and that is the way to ensure the fastest response. This is the calendar, which I'm going to skip. And of course, please connect with us. I'm sorry I went over time, but thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your questions at our live event on August 23rd. That's it. Engineer change through research and through internships. Thank you so much for your attention.